a great and wonderful guest on the show, and her name is OYA Thomas, and she has a new album out called The Spirit of OYA, and we are going to welcome her in. She is a singer, an actress, and a writer, and on top of all of that, oh my God, she is a motivational speaker who encourages others to fight for their dreams. So please, everyone, help me welcome OYA Thomas onto the show. Hello, OYA.
Peace and blessings. Hi, Crystal.
Hi.
How are you?
I am feeling great, and I probably need a motivational speaker right about now.
Yeah, I was getting the tail end of your conversation. Sound like you got a little something going on there.
Well, you know what? Yes, I fell down the stairs, and you know what's
no.
funny? What's funny, Oya, is this. Like I said, I had my second surgery yesterday, and you know when you go into surgery, you know, you get a million people that come to you before, you know, you go in, and they all ask the same question. So, how did that happen? And
I was about to ask you that. Like, how did that happen?
And I said to myself, you know what, Crystal, you need a really good story. You need to say I was skiing down a mountain and I, you know, fell.
But don't tell me it was something really simple. That's how it always is. It's nothing exotic and fabulous. It's usually like the silliest. I had a little moment like that we won't share today in the interview. But it was like okay, I don't even want to talk about this. You know,
it was a gummy bear. Yes, it was some sort of gummy thing that was on my steps. And I think maybe I picked it up on my shoe.
I'm sorry, this is great.
I hate gummy bears. I don't even like them. I hate eating them. So it must have been something I picked up, and I walked in, and I was rushing around, and I fell right back down the stairs. So there's my ankle story, people. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
On to something a little more exciting and better. First of all, thank you so much, Oya, for coming on to the show. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, absolutely. And first of all, guys, if you haven't been to spiritofoya.com, you need to tootle on over there because it is first of all, it's a great site. I've been there. I always look at websites because I love sites that are easy to maneuver and they give you all the information and it's user friendly. And your site is very user friendly, so I just want to say that.
Well, thank you. Very nice to hear that. We're actually, I think we're making it even a little bit easier and revamping some stuff because there's new additions and different things to add on there and, kind of taking away some of the older information, putting the new stuff. So it is easy to navigate. That's always an interesting thing to get all the information there and yet keeping it, easy to navigate through. So thank you.
No, you're welcome. And you have a lot. Now, tell us about, first of all, I've listened to your songs and they're so beautiful. I mean,
Thank
you go from spiritual, inspirational to true old school gospel. So tell us about the type of music that you sing and what made you want to go into this kind of a genre of music, of spirituality?
Well, I've been singing since I was 3 years old, and my roots are in the church gospel and jazz music. But I really, as I evolved in music, I had a real love for R&B soul, and so I consider myself, it's kind of hard to, when people ask you about the genre, but I mean, for all intensive purposes of picking one, an R&B soul singer with my roots in jazz and gospel, because that's what was there first, what I learned to sing with my father in church. So some of the things that you may have heard me sing, from An Amazing Grace to Peace in the Valley, which is actually on my album, and then like those really good old school soul pop records like Sam Cooke, I put that on my album because that was my father's favorite song, and that album is dedicated to him. And then the other pieces outside of the other jazz cover, I wrote myself. And, they do the undertone and overtone and around the tone is inspirational. You know what I mean? So there's, whether you get that from like a jazzy feel or a neo soul feel or R&B soul to like voodoo, which is like more of a funk feel, you know. So it's like it's just whatever comes out of me at the time, and but yet it all makes sense together because I grew up in that kind of mixed world of music, you know.
Okay, now, was your father? Did you say he was a pastor, or you guys were just
No, my
really
father was
into
just
the church?
my father was an amazing singer. He was like the head, choir leader person, music
Oh,
director
okay.
guy kind of
Mhm.
thing. And my mother, would always be singing spirituals and stuff and gospels, washing the dishes. She wasn't the showman like my father that would get out there and be the big ham and sing in front of everybody. She was, quietly washing her dishes, but I was always listening to her. My brother went to the boys choir, so he came back with classical and musical theater and, that. So it was just all of that was happening. And my father comes from a very musical background of 12 brothers and sisters that all sang in church, and that's kind of how
Oh,
my
wow.
brother and I ended up that way as well. It was just the thing to do. There was no other way around that, and we loved singing, and so that was very natural. It was just a part of what you were supposed to do.
Mhm. Now you have now you're also she's an entertainer, but she's also educated. Not that those two don't coincide, but uh, but you have your bachelor's in psychology and your master's in was it spiritual psychology?
Spiritual
Could you tell us
psychology.
about that? Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, well, when I was around 8, I tell everyone it was just one of those things I declared to both my mother and father that I wanted to be in entertainment. I wanted to sing and act and do all of that, what you do in the entertainment world. However, I had this real, like deep wanting, knowing of wanting to help people. I didn't like
Mhm.
people being angry with each other. I didn't like the idea of divorce and breaking up families because at that time, when you're 8, you're starting to see your friends' parents like break up, some of them,
Yeah.
and I didn't like that. I want everybody to just be happy. If I had control over the whole world, I would have everybody bouncing around like little bunny rabbits and picking daisies and just, having, the experience of joy every day. So that was a
Mhm.
declaration I made. I had no idea what that meant at 8, but I just knew I wanted to go to school for psychology because that's what I had learned on TV. I would watch different therapists like on the radio shows, and I don't know, don't ask, but I just thought it was really cool that people were talking to them over the radio and the phone and, like real life Frasers, you know what I mean? Like I thought that was
Yeah.
cool back
Yeah.
then that people would call in and tell them their problem and they would help them. I was like, oh, I want to do that. But now how to do all of that together, again, like I said, at 8, I didn't know. Well, to fast
Mhm.
forward to where I am today, I decided to go to school for psychology because music was natural. Even though I went back to school, to learn more about music theory and, took lessons and all that good stuff to play other instruments besides kind of naturally knowing my voice, I knew
Mhm.
I had to go to school for psychology. That's not like something you just like, oh, I'm going to be a life coach or a therapist or whatever if you truly are, really honoring that discipline.
Mhm.
So I went to school for psychology and then I went back to school later for my master's. And like I said, to kind of fast forward in the kind of long story of the evolution, I integrated it all. I learned how to integrate it all through, as you can see, the message through my music. It's just the stage is my platform. The arts, music and arts is my platform. It's my vehicle, using my voice that way. So it is a little bit more than beyond sitting in the office working with some one-on-one. That's why I did the book, so I could reach the masses. That's why I sing and can connect with concerts. That was my avenue, and it just took a while for me to figure out how to integrate them. But now I'm super duper happy about that. It took a
Okay.
while to figure out how to do it, but here I am.
Well, it sounds like you did it the right way. You had your spirit and your goals within you, and then you decided, well, I'm going to go out and practically figure out how to actually do it, and then get a few degrees behind me. So when I am talking about it, people go, oh yeah, okay, she knows what
Yeah,
she's
it's
talking
true.
about.
There is it's a different respect that you have, obviously, with having the education. And I have to give thanks to some of I remember speaking to one of the therapists at school, and I was having a challenging time. Like, do I move forward to get the PhD or go get this license or whatever? Because in my heart, this is, it was a little bit of a confusion there. And after kind of learning me and seeing what it is that I was doing in school and who I was and what I represented, I had a therapist tell me, if you really wanted to do that down the road, age sits well on the shoulders of a counselor. Right now, while you have, the world kind of at your fingertips and what you're doing in your youth and spreading the messages that you ultimately want to share and spread and get people to that connection with their spirit, to what my specialty I felt was to help people manifest their dreams. And so she encouraged me to do what I was already doing and utilizing the information through school and my life experience traveling all over to assist people that way. So that was really cool. And then a couple then kind of came behind her and said the same thing, and then I had my own kind of introspection and thought about that, and I think they're right.
Well, you know what? It's amazing and great to have people step into your life at the right time to guide you, and how important that is to be able to have someone do that.
It's very important. It's very important.
Absolutely.
I have to give thanks to every person, even if I just met them on, some store or some, corner walking down the promenade, getting, a little fruit bowl or something, and somehow, some way, someone says something directly to you or around you, and you need it just right then at that time. So there's definitely been a lot of different people that have been instrumental just by just saying one little thing.
Huh. Well, all right. We have a caller on the line who would like to ask you a question, and we'd like to welcome on Q. Q, how are you?
I'm doing well, Crystal. How are you? Oya, how are you?
Hey there. Didn't you just tweet me?
Yes.
Well,
have you been tweeting my guest?
And it is a pleasure to speak with you. I have two questions, if that's okay.
Okay.
The first question, Peace in the Valley was performed by so many people, from like Mahalia Jackson to Elvis. And I know you did A Change Is Gonna Come on your CD because of your dad's love for Sam Cooke's music. And Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers performed Peace in the Valley. I'm a Sam Cooke fan, by the way. Performed Peace in the Valley back in the early 50s or something like that. So was your version of Peace in the Valley inspired by Sam Cooke because of your father's love for his music?
No, I would say, it was a mixture of many different sounds that I've heard from it. But if you really want to know the truth, this is, I've shared before that I did this song in one take with Kenneth Crouch, the pianist, and Ryan and Yaji. We got together, and we just did it. We just, especially with Kenneth and I, our background in gospel music and just being led forth in the Spirit, because we just connected to what was. I hadn't really researched anything, or nor did he. You know how sometimes you really listen to a song and take different tidbits. If it was anything that I was inspired from, it was really just where I was in the space and time of doing that recording, and my mother sharing that it was my great-grandmother's favorite song, the matriarch of our family, one of her favorite songs, and my grandmother. So those three women, the spirit of them, and probably, different things that I've heard before, but I didn't listen to anybody, Sam Cooke or Mahalia or any of their versions. And and this is something that I wanted to tell you. I never performed that song ever in my life.
Wow. I can't tell.
So that is what I mean about some kind of divine inspiration with that, because that truly, when I tell you, was a one take with those three gentlemen in the studio with me performing it together one time. The vocal that you hear and what they played, one take. That was it. And I tried to listen to the song over and over again to find mistakes from me or them, or could it be done differently. It was just something that was just what you hear. And I'm so thankful for that. It's just where we were. It was some kind of cool, crazy, super beautiful divine energy that happened with that song in that space and time.
That is amazing. And I mean, with Kenneth Crouch being the nephew of Andre, I know that he's very talented. Just having that running through his bloodline.
Yeah, we grew up quite the same from church, but then still doing pop music and stuff. And just to add on that, Kenneth Crouch was not even meant to play on that song. He was not supposed to even be there. And it just, because of the cat that was going to be playing on it, I had already knew that he had another obligation at that time, but I had to record at that time. I still had the studio, but he had to, like, leave to go to Babyface or somebody that, you know, he had to go. He had to leave Oya, you know what I mean, for Babyface. But the thing is, that's why it always kind of tickles my heart, because once again, I hadn't even worked with Kenneth Crouch before that song. And he came in after reviewing me and seeing the work that I've done and said, yeah, I'll come and do it. And everything just lined up. It was like everything was just perfect. So I like to share that. But I've never shared on anybody else's show. I've talked about the one take, but I've never shared that I've never performed that song out loud before to anyone, any place. Nope, never. Like, Change is Gonna Come, I did that, you know, over and over. But that song, never performed it anywhere. That was the first time in the studio.
You did a wonderful job, and if you've never heard Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers, you should probably check it out on YouTube, because you know, Sam just moves people when he used to sing.
I've heard that version, but I haven't heard it, you know, recently. But yeah, I think Sam Cooke is amazing. I have his books of music, you know, for me to play, and just he's one of my musical mentors. Just put it that way.
Okay. And my second question is, I mean, who were some of your influences, or, you know, maybe your favorite singer, as far as, I know you say you started young, but I mean, who did you listen to as a child?
Okay, well, besides Sam Cooke, because of my father. My father was the first instrument of voice that I admired, loved, cherished, and just really studied, even though I didn't know that that's what I was doing at the time. And my mom and my brother, you know, the in-house. And outside of that, then there's Stevie Wonder, there's Prince. Oh my gosh, I love some Prince. And Whitney Houston, you know, for voice, of course. Mahalia Jackson, you know, hands down for gospel. And jazz, you know, Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra. The list goes on, and there was somebody, like, pretty much in every genre. They was like, oh my gosh, Shaka Khan. I mean, you know, I definitely, even still to this day, those are the artists that I still love the most.
Okay, and you can always tell a true musician if they have diversity in their music. I mean, you name so many different genres and so many wonderful artists, and so. But it's a pleasure talking to you. Thanks, Crystal. And what's up, Drake?
What up, man? No, thank you so much, Q. Those are great questions. All right, now, Oya, you have acted on television and big screen stage plays. What do you think is the most challenging? And do you think it's challenging being black in Hollywood?
I know there's certain things realistically that we have to look at as regards to what roles are out there, and when you're looking at castings and, you know, agents and managers and what they're able to give to people of color as far as auditions, there's a certain reality to that. But I personally always share that I don't get caught up into that. You know, you have to go out and do what you want to do, if that's what you want to do, and not get caught up in that. Because once you get caught up in the whole, there's nothing for me, then that whole woe is me, there's nothing for me, there will really be nothing for you. Now, you have to be smart about certain things, too, if you don't see a whole lot of opportunity, not getting down on yourself, but making opportunity for yourself. And there's a lot of people that are building. When I did The Therapist, shout out to Gino Brooks. We're actually about to work on a couple of other projects coming up. This man writes, produces, directs, man of color, and he's not allowing anyone to tell him that he can't be in a production, write a production, produce a production, direct a production. He made way with a group of other people of color, and they figured it out, how to do it, how to raise the money, how to, how to produce things, and then employ other people of color as far as actors and, camera, lights, action, So
Right.
I like to really focus my energy on communicating about that, even though there may be a certain reality to things, but it's not to say that there's nothing out there for you, because there's plenty out there for you.
Well, you know what? That's a great segue into your book and in your speaking engagements, the 5-star points for success. Now,
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, and maybe one or two of those points?
Sure. The 5-star points for success is about building your foundation, and the foundation is 5 points of the happy little star, which is mind, body, spirit, emotions, and environment. Now, what I say about these 5-star points is that we have to all have a strong foundation. And if you don't have a strong foundation, that's how people weeble wobble and they fall, or they have all these confusions or upsets or woe is me, and they fall into the darkness or literally having nervous breakdowns and so on and so forth. So you want to have a strong foundation of all of these points, so no matter what comes on you, naysayers, or as they call them, the haters, or whatever, that doesn't even bother you. That can't even move you, because energetically you are good. You love yourself, you honor yourself, and if you have a weight of things that aren't going so good, on that table, if you got those 4 legs really standing strong, you can hold through. Same thing if you have good things going on, but it can be a bit stressful in this industry. You have so much going on that it can even be to a point where you can't even handle that if you don't have your foundation. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, especially to me.
Yeah, I mean, because sometimes it's so much stuff going on. If you don't have a strong foundation, either good or bad, it's not going to hold up. And I always give the kind of 4-leg table, kind of visual for people to really understand it. You could put bad things on it, or you could put good things on the table. Either way, it's going to collapse if it doesn't have a strong foundation. Now, with that strong foundation, then you can move forward to connecting to yourself and literally moving forward into that beauty, that love, and manifesting your dreams and living your life purpose. And what I find so groovy about this is that when you really connect to yourself and you do this work and you're living your dream, you can't harm yourself or others. All you can do is continue to evolve in beauty and then lift other people up. So this is my ray of light into the world to make it a brighter place.
Well, my goodness, you are so positive. I need you on the show every single week. Well, I know. I mean, I won't keep you for too much longer, but I do want to talk about, your new album. Tell us about Spirit of OYA.
Yeah, so Spirit of OYA was created because it was always something I wanted to do. And it took me a while to do it, as I am an independent artist, and this is why I talk about, you can do anything you want to do, because I could have, sat, on my hands or twiddled my thumbs and not done this, but I did, and I'm very happy because, it first and foremost is an expression of myself, and this is what I love to do and how to share and how to make people just smile or tap their toes or maybe even create a transformation in someone to change their lives or something, And so to hear people from around the world to say, hey, I got your album, is like super duper wonderful. And the album is dedicated to my father, and it's a little bit of something for everybody, from funk, neo soul, jazz, a little kind of bluesy rock jump off, just even have a beautiful kind of a love wedding song with just cello and piano, very acoustic. Of course, we have the gospel and the soul and straight ahead jazz and stuff. So it's a really fun, positive album that you can stick in your CD player or listen in your iPod and listen to be uplifted, song after song, Get some good energy.
Oh, definitely good energy. Now, the song we're going to hear now is called Love, and that when I saw the video, I was like, "Oh my God, I love these types of videos." It looks like you had such a great time doing it. It kind of reminded me of that old Jill Scott video that she had done. I can't remember which song that was. It was one of her first ones. Can you tell us about the making of that video? It looks so cool.
Yeah, that video was pretty much a super duper blessing. That was my first video from the Spirit of OYA project, and we wanted to create something that was a sense of community, because this is my song of gratitude, love and thanking everybody and giving and receiving God's grace and abundance, and how Derek Pete and I, who's an amazing director, we came together, sat down, and I had some thoughts, and then he had some thoughts, and then I had some thoughts, and he had some thoughts, and then next thing you know, this is what we came up with. And he really, I was so excited because, his visual and his understanding of the song, by really listening to it, like, he really got it. And I didn't have to really explain too much more, and he was coming up with more ideas than I was. Like, he was getting really into it, and that is what you love in a creator, So I didn't have to sit there and say everything. Like, I felt very comfortable with him. And then Gustavo, that worked with like Pink and Taylor Swift on their one-take music videos. Speaking of one-take, that's a one-take music video, no stops, no pauses. Like,
yeah. And
so
they hardly ever do that anymore. Every now and again you'll see those types, and I think that's so cool. That's why I was like, oh, I love these types of videos.
Yeah, those can be a little tricky.
Yeah.
Those, you gotta really, be on point. But Gustavo was amazing. Everybody that, worked on that whole project was just amazing, and and that's what you get.
Well, it was wonderful, and again, thank you so much, Oya, for coming on to the show. And I want everybody to make sure you go over to spiritofoya.com. She also has a YouTube page, Spirit of OYA, and a Facebook, which is Spirit of OYA page, and then Twitter, which is Spirit of OYA. So you keep it very simple, all the way down the line.
Absolutely. And the CD and the book is also available on my store on spiritofoya.com, or you can just go to iTunes or Amazon, type in Spirit of OYA or the 5-star points for success, and you can download or get the actual paperback, book or CD. Hey, Dre, we didn't hear anything from you.
Yeah, Dre, what's up?
I was just enjoying it. Look, I was into the vibe. I just sat back literally and was like, wow. I mean,
yeah, like, wait a minute. When the guy Q called in, I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, we do have a co-host. What's going on?
Trust me. Look, when Q asked the questions, I was like, oh man. So it was like the whole.
So those are your questions. So you don't have any questions for me. Those are yours. Q got you.
Look, I'm just glad to be here. I'm really just glad to be here. I'm just saying. I mean, but the questions were on point. I mean, I just was just, I don't know. I was in the zone. I was in the OYA zone. So the OYA zone, if you want to call it that. I was there.
I love it.
Well, he is definitely a talker. I think he was just